We have been given one voice, and if we don't look after it properly, we can lose it, even permanently. Hi, Jo here from Confidence Talks. Try and think of a job where you don't need your voice, where you don't need to speak. Often when I ask this question, I get mime artist or tennis player. Well, I argue that a mime artist needs to speak with their agent to arrange future performances, and a tennis player needs to speak with their coach. So they do in fact need their voices. And I have yet to find a single job where the voice isn't necessary. So we need to look after our voice. But before we can understand what we can do to look after it, we need to figure out how the voice is created. Did you know that the voice is created on the outwards breath? Have you ever tried speaking whilst breathing in? It's not very easy. It sounds horrible, and you certainly can't do it for very long. So the voice is created on the outwards breath. So you take a breath in, and on the outwards breath, the breath is carried up to your larynx or your voice box. In your voice box lives a family of vocal folds or vocal cords. And what happens is when you are wanting to use your voice to speak, your brain sends a signal to your vocal cords that says speaking required, and they contract and come closer together. And so the air is forced through and brushes against your vocal folds, causing them to vibrate. And it's that vibration which creates sound. The sound then carries up into your mouth, where your organs of speech are used to create words. And voila, you can speak. But it is really easy to damage or strain your voice. This can be done by yelling or shouting, and especially screaming. Coughing is incredibly bad for your vocal cords, as is speaking when you are sick or when you have used your voice too much. There's lots that you can do that damages your voice. And what happens when you shout or scream is that you are actually scratching your vocal cords. And if you do it too much, you'll actually develop calluses or lesions on your vocal cords. And the only way to get rid of them is an operation. Or you can lose your voice permanently. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like very much fun. So what can you do to protect your voice? Well, you need to make sure that when you speak, that you're relaxed, in particular in your neck and throat. If you try to speak when you're tense, that can put a real strain on your voice. Also, if you know you've got a lot of speaking to do, you can warm up your voice by simply humming or trilling with your tongue, or you can try buzzing like a bee to make your lips vibrate. Very simple techniques, and there's truckloads more on the internet. You can learn how to breathe with your diaphragm, which I have a video on if you haven't seen it yet. And that diaphragmatic breath will help support your voice and give you good breath control. Also, if you know you've got a lot of speaking to do, you should avoid dairy products because that creates phlegm. Make sure your voice boxes or your vocal cords are well hydrated. So drink plenty of water, or even better, warm water. If you have got a sore throat, you can gargle with either a salt water solution or white vinegar. Neither of which tastes very nice, but it certainly is good for the throat. And remember, if you have got a sore throat, one of the best things you can do is to keep it warm. Scarves were invented for a reason, and now you know why. But there is one other extremely important thing you can do to protect your voice. You can learn how to speak with a forward voice. A forward voice? What on earth is one of those, you ask? Well, I think it's probably best if I explain that there are other types of voices. There's a nasal voice where you speak placing the sound in your nose, and so it has a very nasal sound. If anyone's seen The Nanny or Friends, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or they speak on the back of their throat. Australians and New Zealanders are very good at this, where they talk on the back of their throat and it's a really hard sound, and the sound is being placed here on the back of their throat. A forward voice puts the sound at the front of your mouth, and that is a far better place and doesn't cause any strain on your vocal cords. So how do you create a forward voice? Probably the easiest way is to say the sound ooh and hold it like this. Ooh. And when you feel your lips vibrating, that means that your voice is being placed at the front of your mouth. Then, whilst saying ooh, move on to actually speaking. And you will then speak with a forward voice. Ooh, how are you today? There is another advantage of using a forward voice, and that's it's a much more pleasant sound to listen to. Do you agree? And just a personal observation, I used to get a lot of sore throats growing up and even as a young adult. But once I started teaching people how to speak well and using a forward voice permanently, I don't get anywhere near the number of sore throats that I used to. So it can really help with making sure that you stay well. Who would have thought just looking after your voice can keep you healthy? I am a bit concerned though. You see, I've been watching a fair amount of YouTubers lately, and I am horrified at the number of people who shout or yell. These people, if they don't look after their voice, they're going to end up having no voice at all. And then where would they be? So if you are a YouTuber and you find that you're shouting, can I suggest that perhaps you need to invest in a microphone? You can get them very cheap on eBay and probably Amazon. And also, please don't shout at us. YouTube has the option of a volume button. So if we can't hear you, we can always turn it up. And you don't need to yell to show excitement. You can do that through your facial expressions and your body language. You don't want to yell to people, because I, for one, don't like being shouted at, and I'm more likely to switch to a different channel, to one that doesn't yell at me. So please, look after your voice. You've only been given one voice that's got to last you a lifetime, so do everything you can to protect it. I hope you found this video useful. Please let me know in the comments below what you have done to protect your voice. And please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I next upload videos. And check out my other videos. There's the one on breathing that I mentioned, but there's also one on warm-ups and all sorts of other information that you could find useful. Until next time.